afternoon. Welcome to the Light Express. We're so happy to have you join us today. We're talking about living your purpose and living your best life. Your inspiration for what you bring to this world, your joy, your mojo. We're going to find out about how to tap into that, find out exactly what it is. Luckily, we're here with somebody who embodies all of those things, who does it on a regular basis. We shall be so lucky, and we're going to learn how she does it. Love to introduce you to Lianne Bridges, very successful owner of the Awakening Cafe and the Shift Village. Both places where people come to expand their purpose, their networks, their jobs, their friends circle, all of the above, to learn and grow once a month. And I would like to take this opportunity to welcome Lianne.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you taking the time to interview me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Well, I guess maybe the best place to start is by asking you, what is a purpose and how do we find ours?
What is a purpose? I guess it's really about what brings meaning to our lives. And I think it's very individual. Each person has a journey to find their own purpose. What brings joy, what brings a sense of meaning, and so forth.
And tell us how you came into living this purposeful way of life. How did you fall into this way of life yourself?
Well, I think, finding your meaning in your life is something that probably is a journey for everybody, in that everybody at some point in their life, whether it's very early on or later, they start to stumble upon it. Sometimes it's by crisis. That was my case. Other times it's a gradual process where people start to feel disenfranchised or dissatisfied with their life. And for me, it was more of the crisis. I had was in my mid-40s, and my husband, I had small children, and my husband got sick with cancer. And through that journey with him, I started to realize that really life is short, and I really have to find out what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And so through that time when he was sick, I started to investigate different type of work that I could do. I was actually a business consultant, a marketing consultant for many years before that, working at large companies here in the Montreal area. And I wanted to try to see how I could translate that into something that gave me when I woke up in the morning, I was excited about it. I felt good. I felt like I was somehow giving back and serving. And it took a long time to take the time to go within, to understand what were my buttons for, what made me excited and so forth. But then also what I could do to make a living doing it. And it ended up my husband did pass away. And so there was quite a journey after that as well of self-discovery. And it was really that kind of parallel journey where I was learning about myself and at the same time learning about the work that was important for me in the world, and trying to bring the two together and not having them as two different things. We often think of ourselves as a professional life and a personal life. Well, for the first of my life, I started to merge the two.
So, wow. So given everything you've been through, if someone was just starting out to, try to discover, obviously it's a very important thing in this day and age to live your best life, your authentic life, what would you suggest to them? Where do you start?
Well, I think one of the first things is believing that it can happen, because we get derailed so quickly by fear, doubt, that type of thing, what other people say, what our cultural norms are. I hear people all the time saying that, well, we have to wait till we retire and I amass so much money before I can actually do what I want to do. Or other people who are doing what they love, but they say, I'll never make any money doing it because, I'm an artist, and artists have to be, starving artists. What I'm learning is that we need to really change those mindsets, first and foremost. The second thing is something that I work with my clients is really about going within. What I try to do in my business is combine the years of business and marketing experience and web and technologies, but with ancient wisdom practices, meditation, all the different things that help us tap into our inner knowledge, our inner knowing, our inner creativity, and so forth. So one process there I talk about is discovering your Zen spot, where you learn your background expertise and your gifts all overlap. Where those overlap is where you really have a potential to ignite your life, to live sustainably, financially, and in purpose and passion. So the third thing that I try to help people, recommend to people, is to start to lean into it. Not to try to be perfect at the get-go and like completely leave what they're doing, that type of thing. It's to start to plan, start to organize their life. Sometimes it could be a few hours a week, it could be doing it part-time or something like that. Do what they love and just start to get out there and do it and start to plan. And the last thing that's really important is be in community. It's really important to be with like-minded people. So it comes back to the first thing I said, which is about believing. Because if you're around a lot of people who don't believe what you're going to do or what you're able to do, you're going to be pulled down by their energy. So those are the four things. It's really about believing it. It's going within, leaning into it, and then being within community, and taking the time and enjoying the journey, because it really isn't about the end goal. It's the whole process of coming into yourself. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Having that support team, I think the community around you is probably 90% of it. I really feel that when you have the support and you've got the confidence within and you're surrounded by like-minded individuals, don't you find it comes a lot easier and you feel a little bit more, the ball is rolling a little bit more than when you feel so isolated and by yourself?
That's so much so, and that's really why I decided to create the Shift Village and the Awakening Cafe, because my business is called Designing Transformation. It's really about helping, coaching, consulting people. But the two communities, the Awakening Cafe is a live, in-person monthly gathering, and the Shift Village is an online community that reaches more people, but you don't get the one-on-one. So for me, that's really important, and I see a lot of people that are getting derailed because they don't have community. They're isolated in cities and that type of thing where they can't get the support.
So best piece of advice you could have given yourself 20 years ago if you knew what you knew now, what would you tell everybody to do? What's the top?
I would say, listen to what the voice inside yourself, because I knew this when I was young, probably even before I was a teenager. I knew a lot of these things, but I listened to our culture and what was expected, and so I think I could have shortened the journey, if you will, a lot earlier. You wouldn't have had to wait till my mid-40s and in crisis. And I think it's really exciting because I see younger people much more aware of that right now. And I'm also really passionate about working with youth to start to think about what brings meaning to them, what to follow their passion, because the school system still is not there, but they are wired to think that way right now.
It's good when you start young. It's like anything, learning a language, doing anything. If you get the programming in when you're a little bit younger, hopefully they'll carry those good habits into adulthood.
Absolutely.
Like a lot sooner than we did, our generation did, perhaps. But,
yeah, exactly.
And one last thing, how do you help people in your business? What are some ways that people can tackle this? Because I can hear a lot of people perhaps saying, oh, it's too complicated, I don't know where to start, this is too difficult, I'm a bit overwhelmed with the whole process. So can you guide us through sort of your system of how you would explain to somebody where to start and how to get in touch with you to go further?
Sure. Well, I have a program that's called the 4D transformational process. And I have to put the marketing part in there, right? The business side of me. But really the 4D, it's about moving into the fourth and fifth dimensions, if you will. But they have four components. And it starts with really dreaming. And it comes back to what I was saying before, is believing and dreaming what is possible for you. And that's where I take them through the Zen, discovering your Zen spot, and visioning. And it's kind of the type of work I used to do with big clients. It was called visioning exercises for them. But for individuals, it's more about really just understanding where they can go. The second part is discovery, the second D. And it's discovering not only what your own core strengths are, but how that can be applied into a market setting. What are your potential consumers out there? What are they looking for? What are their needs? What are the matches? What are competitors out there that might be you have to think about? So again, it's similar to what you do in business, but just kind of slightly altered for someone who's going through this journey. The third part is design. So it's the planning, the actual developing products or services or programs or marketing. It's designing that, your logo, your brand. So you can actually take your skills that you have discovered in the dream stage and identified a market for in the discover stage, designing what it's going to look like and how it's going to come out to the world. And the fourth D is really developing and delivering. It's that idea of bringing those products to market and then using social media, using marketing, using all the business tools to get out there to create your own community and following.
Yeah, and it's really easy these days. I mean, I think that there's a lot of programs that make it so simple for people. It's not as complicated as it used to be. And with a system like yours, I think it's say like relatively easy to get started. But with Twitter and Facebook and all the programs and your website already set up for you, all you really have to do is plug in your information and you're on away to the races.
That's it. And the other thing too, what I find is people need different things at different times. So some people may be already at the development stage. They already really have a clear idea what they want. Other people might be at the beginning stage. So the idea is that each stage builds on the other, but that they're isolated and people can take them one at a time. And I'm offering courses in it so that people can do it in a group setting or one-on-one if people need help just on that. And I'm also developing tools that people can do it on their own as well.
Well, it's been, I don't want to take up too much of your time. It's been awesome chatting with you this afternoon and learning a little bit more about how we find our purpose and go forward with this exciting adventure that we're all embarking on, this new life, as you will. Thank you so much for joining us again. Hope you can join us again for more exciting topics. We wish you the best. Stay healthy and namaste.
Namaste.